Hey guys, it's Michelle, and I'm here today with Terra Bohlmann of terrabohlmann.com. That's with two N's at the end of her name. Terra is a trainer and a business consultant based in Houston, Texas. I'm so excited to have her join me here for Women Who Wow's Practical Profits interview series. Women Who Wow now has members in all 50 states and 8 countries, and part of that is because membership gives our members access to the wisdom and expertise of people like Terra. I love her most recent blog post that reminds us that there are troublesome clients and that not all money is good money. I'm going to link to that in the transcript. She has a podcast called P.S. You Got This, which you can find in iTunes and on her website. Terra works with business owners to make more money in less time so that they have more freedom and better balance in their lives. She's a systems thinker, which I love, and she loves technology, which you guys know I don't love, and she's okay with the fact that I don't love technology. She still is okay with me. But Terra is skilled at problem solving and has a natural ability to take businesses to the next level. Terra believes everyone should work harder and smarter and not harder. She believes that you can have it all by being the CEO of your company and doing all the things that you really love to do. She's the managing director of ewomennetwork in Houston, Texas, and I'm thrilled to have her on with us today. So welcome, Terra. Really excited to have you with us.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so it's so funny. I'm not even sure how we got Terra's name. Someone said, "Hey, you've got to have her on Women Who Wow. I've got to meet this woman." And when I went to her website, I just got a little girl crush there on just the look of her website, the copy of her website, the function of her website. Really loved it. Just from that aspect alone, you should check it out. But I want to get in to the content that we've prepared with Terra because I know that she's just a wealth of information for our members and for everyone watching this. So I know you help people do better in their business, but one of my favorite blog posts of yours is all about how to decide which clients you should walk away from. And one of the things that you said that helps you identify a troublesome client is that they're indecisive. I love that and completely agree. I was hoping you could tell us what else makes a client more trouble than they're worth, essentially. When you are looking at someone, what else is there?
Sure. So yeah, what comes to mind is, from the indecisive for sure, right? It's when they're going back and forth and you start going down a path doing your services or, with your product or whatever, they end up just changing their mind all the time, which then causes you to have to course correct, which is causing you more time, right?
That's right.
And we know at the end of the day, as profitable businesswomen, we have to really, really be careful about our time.
Right.
So another thing is when they start scrutinizing your contract, right? If they're looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, that in detail, I'm all for you should absolutely read and understand what you're signing. And if you're not comfortable with something, have a conversation. But if they're going to red pen your contracts right then and there, it's telling me, ooh, if they're doing this and we haven't even started doing business yet, what else is going to happen, right?
That's right.
And that means a lot of the times they're looking for an out clause before you even get started.
Right.
And I like to work with people who are all in. I think you do too. I think I saw that
Absolutely.
with even joining your membership. It was hey, you got to be all in. And I love that. So
Good.
yeah. And then the other thing that comes to mind is when they slow pay you. So to me, it's especially women in business, they're just so they hate the collections process, right? They hate the, sure, I'll work with you on payment plan. And I'm all for that, right? But if they're really going to slow pay you or, ask for net 90 terms or something like that, it's there's only so much of us to go around. You can easily replace that person with somebody who's going to pay you before you even send your invoice. Yes. I always laugh. And when I was writing that, it came to mind that I work with women who are so, a lot of, I call them strong personalities, passionate. They're so, on it, and perfectionism and stuff like that. They're so on it that usually they'll email me and go, I haven't got your invoice yet. I haven't got, and it's whoa, it's not even the first, calm down. But they, that's a sign that you've got, a great client when they're so happy with what you're providing for them that they're willing to prepay you, right?
That's right.
You just replace people. You can replace people that you need to quote unquote fire.
I love that. I take it a step further. So indecisive clients, they're usually indecisive before they actually decide to work with you. And so when I see the hem hawing, when I see even a bunch of delays, I'm like, I like action takers, and I know a couple things. Like, one thing that I know is that the most successful people in business are very fast decision makers, right? Mm-hmm. And they're decisive people, and businesses absent decision are usually mediocre businesses. And the second thing I know is that broke people get paid after the work is done, and wealthy people get paid up front. So I sort of made it really simple with all of my collections. We get paid up front, and then we don't have to deal with it anymore. And I let people know, I'm like, listen, I'm just not an accountant. I don't have an accountant working in my office. I don't want to chase your money. So it's like, we get paid up front. We're all in. We don't have to deal with it again. And that eliminates a lot of not only headache and not having to have a bookkeeper on staff in the office or whatever, but it eliminates that slow pay. But that was one of mine. People who are inconsistent or delaying payment or whatever, I'm like, no way. They're fired, right? They're absolutely fired. And then I have another fireable offense that I think you would agree with, but it's when they are trying to be, they always want to be the exception, right? So I know you don't normally
right.
do this. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I don't ever do that, right? Ever. Or, they text you at the wrong times, or, they're trying to always change the rules of engagement. That sort of thing just drives me crazy, because I'm ruthless about my time. I don't want to, I can't have, I don't let my family kind of intrude into my work hours, and therefore I don't let my work intrude into my family hours, right? It makes sense. It's equitable.
The one thing that I found in working with women especially is they get mad if people do ask for the exception or whatever, but they haven't given them the boundaries and the box that that people have to play in with you. So then it's always like, okay, well, have you told them? Do you have this in your in your contract that you don't work past 6 p.m.
Right.
And then a lot of the times like, no, I don't. I'm like, if you just have these conversations up front, usually you don't have an issue. So I'm all for what you said. Put the boundaries in place, and you don't have to worry about it. Then it's just like, no, company policy. Right. I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, what should I say? I'm like, company policy.
It's the rules.
You don't always be the hard person or the mean person. You can just say company policy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, don't blame me, even though I started the company and made the policy. Well, do you have kids, Terra?
I do. I have 3 boys. I have a set of twin 7-year-old boys and a 14-year-old son.
Okay, so my son is 14. He's my youngest.
Okay.
And so mine are 14, 16, and 18. And my husband, he gets irritated when the kids ask for something, like they push for something, right? So, can I stay out 30 minutes past curfew, or can I, whatever. And so my husband gets all he gets all worked up, and I don't get worked up, because I'm like, oh, that's their job to ask. Right. And then our job is to respond, right? No emotion about it. It's either yes or no. And I think sometimes our clients are the same way, right? So even if we have those boundaries in place, one thing, when you have, I think, clients who always feel like the exception, and I think probably all of my clients feel like the exception, and the truth is, they're all very special to me. Now, like you, I don't have a lot of private clients, so I have a full client practice. My boutique consulting firm is full at 5 clients, right? Because the rest of my stuff is my group work, but they all feel special, and they all are special. But sometimes it's their job to ask, and it's our job to remind them, right? It's not going to happen. So,
well, and it's for us especially, I know, I think we're similar in the sense we do like to work with bold people. So of course, what are we going to expect? Of course they're going to be bold enough to ask, and if they weren't, I wouldn't coach them right. So
That's right. I love it. it. So I know you are all about systems. So can you tell us where you start with business owners who are looking to put their marketing on rinse and repeat?
Sure. So from a marketing perspective, I always start with, what are you doing now? I'm just huge on doing a current assessment, right? What's what's working for you. And I focus on 3 areas. So we take a look at what are you doing from an online marketing standpoint, right? Like, and to me, that's different than social media. So online marketing, do you have the lead magnets on your blog and opt-ins? Do you know, what are you doing specifically online? Are you guest posting? Are you blogging? Are you not? And then how are you driving traffic, to your website? So there's the online side. And then to me, there's the social media side. And I don't know about you, I'm sure you would agree that many women entrepreneurs feel like they need to be on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and all of them. And I'm like, slow down. Like, I mean, from a system standpoint, we want it to be simple. Right. So I say find one and dominate it. Unless you have a team to help you, great. Most people who, what is it? People always compare their beginning with everyone else's middle. They have a team helping them. Like we're blessed. We have people helping us. But when you're starting out, pick one and dominate it. And then I take a look at the traditional side of marketing. So where are you networking? Are you running ads? Are you writing in magazines? Like, what are you doing just like, what are you doing that's driving awareness? Because that's all setting up a system is we want a marketing system that is going to be just about getting you visibility. The whole transaction and sales side is a separate system, but marketing to me is just people need to know that you're around and what you have to sell. That's our only job in marketing, and to keep it simple and consistent. And when you're simple and consistent, you've got a perfect system.
Right. That's awesome. And I always say, like, what's simple gets done, right?
Yes.
And so it's amazing what happens when you don't plan nonstop these complex things, but you actually do something, and amazing things happen, right? You start to attract the right people.
Attraction happens.
Yes. And so I love that. I have a love relationship with simplicity, and and it's something that so many people I think abandon because they feel like if it were that simple, then 80% of businesses wouldn't fail. And my thing is 80% of businesses are failing because those 4 out of 5 businesses are talking to each other, right? Giving each other advice, right? They're all on the treadmill of business together, cheering each other on. Nobody's measuring anything. No one is, is really holding their actions kind of accountable for producing a specific result or measuring their numbers or, whatever. And, but I think that while we both know that no matter where we are in business, beginning, middle, or like way up at the top, we know that business isn't easy, right? But it can be simple, and it should be simple. And
the people you see killing it, and the people who we coin overnight successes, they're keeping it simple.
That's right. That's right. Simple and bold, I think. And one thing I just want to compliment you on, and again, if I can just encourage people to go to your website, which will be right below this video, but also in the transcript, is that your website is very clear and compelling. And I looked through the sales page. I loved it. I mean, I was just, I kind of got my start in direct response copywriting, and so I just kind of have an eye for that. But your site is one of the best that I've ever seen. I just really loved it.
I have to tell my branding girl that and what's funny is, I'm at this for 5 years, right? So I'm not year one, but I haven't been around for 25 years doing this. But and maybe your tribe will resonate too. Is like, honestly, that's probably like website number 6 for me. Right. And it's like, and you just, over time, you get clearer, more concise, niched and that kind of stuff. And it just continues to get better and better. So just keep at it. Like, I guess that's the real lesson in all of this is keep at it, keep tweaking, but yet don't get caught in the minutia of always having to change.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how I've growing my own business as well. So
yeah, it's awesome. And I just, the simplicity, the clarity, the knowing exactly what you're paying for and what you can expect, the personality shines through. I love all of it. So I love the colors too. But yeah. So okay. So I want to move on because one of the links that I want to share is about your article about creating a signature package. And I was wondering if you would kind of give us a quick overview regarding what should go into that. Because I think that people approach it from 2 different ways. So One is, they don't want to give away too much. Like they don't want to cannibalize other programs or other things. And then, people look at it from the other side and, they don't know what they could possibly leave off. And so,
Right.
I just wanted to have you walk us through like creating your own signature package.
Yeah. And to me, this is one of those things that it can apply even if you're in a product business, right? It's like you want to have that one thing that you're selling, right? And so oftentimes, especially women, and I only say this because I was this way as well, right?
Sure.
I could sell consulting services when I was with a consulting firm, no problem. But like when it comes to selling yourself, it's you don't want to be that person that's like, oh yeah, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. Next thing you know, someone else is building your business model instead of you. So I believe when you're creating a signature package that you're grouping your best knowledge, right? And it's usually that super obvious thing that's in front of you that you can't see, if that makes sense, right? Your genius zone. Like I didn't even know systems. I thought everyone kind of like thought in systems. So I didn't even know that was my own niche until actually I think it was Sandra Yancey was like, oh, you're like, and I'm like, you see systems in me? And she's like, yeah. So, and it was like, oh, well then, sometimes it's so obvious. So you want to kind of come up with, have your ideal avatar, right? Who you want to work with, like who's your ideal person, and go in that description of what are they like, what are their struggles, what are they looking for, all that stuff. And then you want to design your package to really give him or her exactly what they need, right? And lead with that. Like you can lead with your signature package because especially in the referral space, right? If we have so many things, and I never have more than 3 offerings at a time because I don't know about you, I can't keep track of them. So I sure know that my clients and people who refer me can't keep track of them. So, but you want to have the signature one. That is the one that you're, selling month in and month out and that you can really rely on. To me, the rest is kind of bonus, but you just really want to bundle up things that will really, really serve your, I call them perfect customer, but your ideal avatar.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so, for me, I've kind of, I guess I don't have a signature bundle. Maybe I have a signature pack or program, and it's called Rapid Results, and it's cheap, right? It's like, I think it's $47 or something. But for me, I looked at it as an introduction, almost like a Reader's Digest version of everything that I do, kind of and it's something that's actionable. And so I really haven't ever created a signature package of like my higher price stuff or whatever. So I'm going to definitely look back through, and the link that I want to give everyone, it has a it'll be to her article, but in the article you can click on this beautiful image and get a worksheet for that. So I think that's so important because I think it helps with the branding of the business, right? Yeah. I mean, it helps when you are creating, what are you going to sell? And I think so many times people, they don't get to that till way late in the process. And I'm thinking, what have you been doing?
Exactly. Right? And that's so normal. And then, then first, it's like, let's create the package. Then how much am I going to sell it for? So I'm like, here's a formula. Like, it just becomes one of these things that do not go into business if you don't know what you're selling. And, right. Yeah, and I say that because I was kind of that person. I thought, I was playing around in the work at home space, and I just want to help women be able to work from home. And, and it was like, but I still didn't have anything to sell, or what I was selling, the people who wanted my product couldn't afford it. So it was like, it's just kind of really clear.
I spent time there too. It's like purgatory for business coaches. And I'll tell you, it was the same thing. So yeah. That was my heart. My heart was, I wanted to help other women. I'm married to a public school teacher. And so it wasn't like I could not work or something. Right. But, I had to bring in an income. And and daycare was not going to happen for me. It just wasn't going to happen. And so I was in quite the little crux 18 years ago, right? When like no one worked from home. And I created this little program. I still have it. I should send it to you. I need to find it first. I don't know if I have it digitally, but I created this program called Work Your Own Way, right? And it was for women to like assess what they really needed to make and what they could do to make money, because I didn't know I was in business really at that time. I just thought I was like cobbling together an income. And so it's so funny. And that's where I wanted to be, but I found the exact same thing. So the people, I needed to be able to make money from home in order to stay home, right? And so the people that loved me, like they could never afford or would never, afford something that I was selling. And the people who could, they were kind of not really identifying as that mom trying to work from home. And so I spent a while there. And just really quickly, I used to have these little events. And I call them events, which is a gross overestimation of what they were. But I would meet and I'd advertise in my local paper. And, back then you couldn't like take payment up front or anything like that, unless you were like a real big business. And so I just had to depend on people to show up, and I'd always have pizzas, and I'd always go by the fire department afterwards and give them my pizzas. Cause if I had 4 people show up, which was only once, it was like a huge success. And it was just so funny. I tried so hard. And finally I had to say, I just can't, I can serve that market more from like a pro bono, like helping out kind of thing, but it's purgatory for women like us, right?
Right. And so what I realized is, well, why don't I go and, make money elsewhere, and then I can always do that as strategic give back, right?
That's right. That's
right. And when I hire people on my team, I wrote a book. This is how like I started to go down this niche so deep, because I always worked from home as a consultant, but me working from home is different than how everyone else wanted to work from home. Like I worked in my office 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Like, I was kind of hardcore. And I was finding that they're just like, oh, I want to work from home. And how do I balance laundry and doing all? And I was just like, what? Like you have a maid. Like it was one of these things that I really I struggled with. So I wrote a book called The Boss and Bunny Slippers. And it's like a big, thick book on how to lead your virtual team while you're working from home. Because that's what I did. When I worked in consulting, I led teams all over the world. And no one told me how to do it. So I wrote the guide for it.
That's awesome.
And it was just one of these things that was like, it was almost too niche, right? And I thought, So anyway, so I'm committed to now anyone on my team. Like there were a virtual company. I do have my team come in maybe a couple times a week. Especially on a launch or something. And you want to do that to build trust if you can. But like for the most part, we're all virtual, and I love to hire, women who want to work from home because, they're just smart and they've got great skill sets. And so what? Like I don't want to go sit in traffic. Like that's my main reason I like to work from home, especially in Houston. I don't want to ride in traffic an hour each way. I got things to do,
Right,
so.
right. And I love that. For me, that was a pretty huge I've made it kind of moment when I was able to hire other women who were young moms and who could work from home and give them what I searched desperately for and never found, which is, why I started this. But I didn't find anything that was legitimate that, would allow me to be a professional, but also work from home. So, so I love that. It's funny. I hit that spot where I was like, well, in order to like teach other women how to work from home and replace their income and all that, like I've got to do it. Right. Right. Yeah. And so, which meant I can't sell to them anymore. Right. And so it was fun, but those moments, those are spaghetti days. Right. And I wish someone had been out there like us to say like, oh, don't sell to them.
No, but I was smart. I thought I was smart at the time because I went and hired the number one, woman in America that is all about kind of working from home. And I hired her for e-coaching. I remember it was $1,000. The Barefoot Executive.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but it was like, I e-coaching isn't like a thing for me, I don't think. But, and I just remember her being like, well, it's always interesting coaching people who are in my niche. Right. And I'm like, oh, well, it didn't even dawn on me, to not, to maybe hire a different coach that was like, not in the niche. Maybe they would have told me don't go there, but I thought I was being really smart and like going right for the source to get coached on. But comes to find out, like, e-coaching is not something that necessarily works for me.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. So we had Carrie speak at one of our events, and I think it was, I don't know, maybe Dallas. Does she live around? I forget.
Yeah, Texas somewhere, I think.
Yeah. So, so that's interesting. And, I actually tried to hire Fabienne Fredrickson to coach me back in my early days. And, I was so passionate and ready and like, I would have told you anything to give you the information to help me. And so I filled out her questionnaire, and I had like painstakingly saved $3,000. And so I've got the money, and I filled out the questionnaire, and she's like, what are your two top challenges? And I have very young kids at the time. And I'm like, easy, time and money, right? I have very little time and very little money. And so that's it.
Not very little time and too much money.
Right. And she turned it down. She turned me down. And actually, I'm so glad, because her solution was like, what she did in her house, in her home, was like an au pair or a nanny or something. Like that was not for me. And so that could have solved my time issue, but it wouldn't, because I wouldn't have done that. So anyway, but yeah, those early days, those are fun days. I wanted to kind of fast forward and kind of wrap up with, your, one piece of advice for women entrepreneurs. I know you mentor a lot of women, you're speaking to a lot of women, and you do a lot with eWomen Network. So I was wondering if you could just give us something to kind of sink our teeth into as we wrap up.
Yeah. That's what comes to mind for me. And when I went into business, I didn't go in with like a sales guru mindset, right? It wasn't like, I had to teach myself sales. I had to teach sales in a way that wasn't icky or salesy or slimy or whatever, because if it were that way, and there's a lot of sales systems out there, right, that teach you certain things and whatever, and different techniques, and but that didn't work for me. It took me away from being authentic.
Yes.
So my big takeaway is, once I realized that your marketing system and what you do for visibility is totally different than what you do once you have an interested person to move them through your sales system, that was like an aha for me. Right. And I think a lot of times women entrepreneurs like to mesh it, right? Like they'll go to a networking event, and I see this all the time at even eWomennetwork, right? People, it's their first time, and they're coming in and they're like shoving cards in people's faces, and they're like, you want to hire me? You want to buy now? And it's like, whoa, let's date before we get married, right? Like, I want to do business with people I trust. So you have to look at networking and online marketing, Facebook, social media. Like, that to me is like your marketing system, right? You're visible. People need to know who you are and what you do and how to do business with you, right? And then once you get the ones that are like, ding, 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 like, tell me more. Like, I never, on my consults, I don't sell anything. Like, I don't say.
Me neither. And
something like, it's like, hey, any other questions? Yeah, how do I work with you? Thanks. You just gave me the permission to then tell you what is a good fit for you, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to throw up on them and give them 8 packages. I'm going to give them the one that I think, because I've listened to them, that's going to work for them. So they move into my sales system, right? And so I'm tracking people who I'm talking to that want to actually, they may be a good fit to work with and want to transact. So once I realized, that they were two separate, it was a light bulb moment. And
I think it's so important too that people understand exactly what you said, with the especially with the coaches. And I work with a lot of coaches, and one of the biggest things I tell them is not really to sell on that consult call. For one, the sales resistance is through the roof. Like, they sort of get it that the free consult is a thinly veiled sales session, right? And so like, we're not tricking anyone with that. And so you might as well not even go there when their sales resistance is so high. And I sometimes I used to do it more often, and now I do it just twice a year, but I have serving hours. And so usually in May and November, I do like a full month of just full out like coaching for free for people. And I usually do it with organizations that, so I kind of limit it to different organizations. But anyway, so when I do that, and I promise, I'm like, there's nothing to be sold. And even when they say, hey, how can I work with you? I still don't I always say, listen, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's still hustle together. And like, then I'll send you a few ways via email. And it's like that way they don't feel pushed and prodded. And they don't feel bad about it. And I hate to be sold on the phone. I find it extremely weird, especially if it didn't start. Like, what if right now is like, so, and I started selling you, or you started selling, it'd be weird, right? Because we're in the middle of a conversation. And so, so I love that. And I love that you point out about the marketing and sales being different. And I don't think it's just women entrepreneurs. I mean, in my consulting firm, I work with, men too. And I'm thinking, you don't even get it, right? We have to, this first,
right,
then this. And when you mesh them, I'll never forget when I was maybe in 4th grade or something. That was when I first started watching like Love Connection. And like, how odd was it when people would go out for their first date and come back married? Like, even as a 4th grader, I thought that was extremely odd, right? And that's what they do when they mesh the marketing and sales. So I appreciate you. I know we're out of time, but I really appreciate you being on with us. I want everybody to go to her website. You'll love it as much as I do. TerraBohlmann.com, and the link is right down here. And several links from her site are going to be in the transcript of this call. But thank you, Terra. I appreciate you and look forward to seeing you in person one day. So we'll talk soon.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.